Hello everyone. So I wanted to share today something that I've been noticing and exploring more and more and noticing the benefits of it regarding embodiment. So in this particular series that I'm sharing now, it's called Energy Consciousness Explorations, Inspirations and Practices. And embodiment has been covering all three in a really, really big way for me in this past few months, past few years actually, but more specifically in the past few months. And I wanted to share today how I'm noticing that embodiment practices and being present inside my body is really a powerful support to help clear energy, help clear what's stagnant, what hasn't been processed emotionally inside my body and field. And it's also really, really powerful to have a sense of my energetic boundaries of what's me and what's not me, so that I can relate with other people in a more deeper connected way, but we'll get to that later. But release what isn't mine and let it flow without really being affected. And this is key for people who are empathic or sensitive to energy. This boundary, the distinction of what's self and what's not self, a lot of times isn't really very present there, especially with these types of very fast moving and very sensitive energy fields. But before we actually get into it, hi, if it's the first time we're meeting here, my name is Isabel. I'm with website healthandnaturallife.com, and I work with all things energy consciousness related, energy integration mainly with people, and energy integration, interspecies communication with animals, and energy fields pretty much of all types. So that's my passion. It's to understand, play with, explore all things energy consciousness, all things related to how we work, so that we can work with those levels of our broader beings, so that we can create the lives that we came here to create, live how we came here to live, be who we came here to be. So this is something that I love to explore and I love to share here with you, and that's one of the, the reasons that we are in this series talking about explorations, inspirations and practices, because I also love philosophy. I really do. It's so easy to just go into a body of knowledge and really enjoy the excitement, the expansion of learning something new, but without it really being made practical. It's just that it's philosophy. It might be really fun to entertain myself with, but if it doesn't change anything in who I am or in my life experience, it's entertainment. It's like watching a movie, something like that. So practices. We'll be sharing today a few suggestions. I'm sharing practices all throughout the videos always, so it won't be for like practice, but this one in particular is more of an insight and sharing type of video. I wanted to share, especially for my people here, the people who are more sensitive to energy, who are empathic, who have sometimes trouble with really knowing what's theirs in terms of emotions, of energy, and what's from other people, that are easily swayed by other people's moods, other people's thoughts, other people's agendas. Empathic people, usually, energy sensitive people as well, and sensitive to the energies of environments. It can be really hard for us to actually navigate things while being grounded in our center. So I've talked about being present in our core in the How Do You Protect Your Energy video, and we can do this core awareness in very different levels. So we can do it from a mental state, and usually it's where it starts, like, okay, I have a core somewhere in there, let me imagine it, let me visualize it. So that starts to create the circuitry inside of our own energetic systems and of our own body to start tuning into that very subtle, at the beginning at least, core of energy that flows through our body. That's our center, the center of our being. So from the mind, we can actually do this, but it's a lot, I'm not sure if it's faster. It depends really on how easy it is for you to feel inside your body, but it is a practice, and it is a very powerful practice to as well start tuning into our core from the body. So this is a suggestion that I loved from Dr. Sue Morter's work, The Energy Codes, that she really goes all out in this. So if this is a practice that's important to you, to be rooted, grounded, centered in your core, her book, The Energy Codes, brilliant because it's centered pretty much around that. And the suggestion that she makes for us to be grounded and rooted and start to create what she calls energetic circuitry that connects our awareness into our core line is to start squeezing the areas along the center of the body that we have conscious control of. So to start feeling our core, we actually start kind of tensing a little bit the muscles all along the core line. For example, usually started from the root all the way up. So from the perineum, from the pelvic floor, all the way up to the crown. We slightly, or maybe not so slightly at the beginning, we squeeze our pelvic floors, pull them up as if we're trying to lift something or stopping the flow of urine. We pull the pelvic floor muscles up and bring our awareness to where do we feel that up, pulling, contracting type of movement. That will give us an anchor point inside our body. As an aside, and this is my experience, and it is not uncommon, so it might be your experience as well. When we start tuning and trying to be inside the body, we do it from here. So it's almost as if we're inside our head, looking down to see, okay, I'm inside my body. At a level, we are, but it can be a lot deeper, that type of awareness. So we are present usually still in our minds and looking down towards the area that we want to embody and become more present inside our body. Starting point, perfect for that. But the awareness that that's not the full scope of embodiment. That's the initial, usually, stages. It's to, okay, I'm kind of looking down, I'm kind of sensing, I know that, yeah, my pelvis is there, but I'm not present there as if that's my locus of awareness. I'm still locus of awareness here and present there, aware of. So it's the difference in between. Noticing, and this is an exercise that's shared a lot as well in embodiment. So I'm going to invite you to notice that you have a hand. So become aware of your hand. And now see if you can shift from being aware of your hand to inhabiting your hand. So feeling what's going on inside of your hand, not from your head trying to figure out what's inside, but sense what's happening inside your hand. So be inside the skin, inside the entire area of your hand, and sense what's happening there. Inhabit your hand. And now go back to being aware of your hand. And shift again to inhabiting your hand, sensing your hand inside, from the inside. what's happening there. Hopefully you can sense a difference in the experience that you have of your own hand. But if you don't worry, it is a practice, because most of us, and especially in our culture, we are trained to be disembodied, to be projecting outside of our body a lot of the times. And because our environments tend to be so loud and harsh in many different ways, energetic, sound, visual, emotional, it's kind of polluted our environment. We tend to create armoring in our bodies, so we create layers of tension that make it harder for us to feel inside our body, and we tend to live slightly up and sometimes even slightly up and out of our body. So this is a reconditioning process. So if you felt the difference in your experience of being aware of your hand versus inhabiting your hand, sensing it from the inside, that's the difference that we can have as well in the experience of our entire body. And it's usually a little bit at a time that we play with embodying, being aware of, embodying, so that we can start sensing the difference. So that's one practice that can be done in any area of the body, with the awareness that in areas where you have a lot of tension, whether it's physical tension or emotional tension, it will create physical tension as well. Might be harder even to notice that you have an area there. So I'll speak from experience. So I've had scoliosis and had surgeries. So there are some areas in my back that I know they're there, period. But I don't have a map, so to speak. So I can't yet have a feeling sense inside those areas. So it's almost like it's an empty space in terms of my awareness. And that is really, well, it's incentive for me to continue to practice these embodiment practices, because I know that there are emotions there, there is energy circuitry there that isn't fully active, that isn't flowing my full life force and energy. So it's keeping me in a more contained and restrained state than what's my natural to actually be. And this happens for all of us in different contractions and constrictions that we have in our energy field. All of them are reflected in our body. So the more that we can be present in our body, the more that we'll start to have that awareness of, ooh, this is almost like a blank space, like there's nothing here. There's something really good there for you to tune into, to start unwinding and start allowing that energy to release, integrate, become part of the available life force again, and the circuitry starts flowing. Our energetic circuitry and physical circuitry starts flowing more of our truth, of our energy again, and physical systems as well start working a lot better. So this is one practice that we can do. And I was talking about empaths in particular. And the difference that I've noticed for this is in the sense of knowing what's mine and knowing what's not. An image came to my mind as I was practicing embodiment practices and noticing my energy field, noticing my own internal landscape of emotions, of tension, of everything. And from that embodied place, so I was aware inside my body, I expanded my awareness as well to notice what was in my energetic field. And I started sensing, still present from the inside my body. So it was almost like an anchor. I'm anchored, present, rooted inside my body. And from that vantage point, stable vantage point, I was noticing, okay, my body, my edges. Now I'm sensing my energy field. Ooh, there's something here that's feeling static, okay, with that awareness, I could allow that energy to start flowing. So that's lovely energy clearing tool right there. Awareness and intention, and then started expanding to see, okay, where are my boundaries, the outer membrane of my energy field. Like all cells have an outer membrane to protect their contents, our own energy field has its own energetic membrane to protect the content. So our own aura, our own energy field layers. Where is it? Now sensing in some places I could sense that membrane, in some other places it was almost like mist, really thin. Some other areas I couldn't even sense anything, so the blank spots again. And with that awareness still centered, present in my body, I imagined light, really light, filling all around, so 360, an oval shape of energy all around me. And when I actually did that, still centered, present in my core, which isn't easy for me, I'll just say that from the get-go. I've been practicing this for a very long time at this point, very long, few years, but still not easy. Okay, so when I did tune into and sense that body of light, that light energy filling my membrane, there was a sense of safety. Okay, I'm present. It's almost like my entire systems went, okay. We have our own space. We're not constantly leaking and constantly, I don't know even what was happening before, but that created that sense of safety. Now the image that came to my mind was a cat. Cats inside boxes, they love it. They feel safe, they feel snug, they feel really nicely tucked in boxes. So it wasn't a small box for me, but it did feel like, okay, this is a sort of containment where I know what's self and I know what's not self. And that's a point that I wanted to make here, is that being present inside our bodies gives us that anchor, that vantage point that helps make it a lot clearer what is self and what is not self. And with that clarity, it's a lot easier for empathic people, energy sensitive people, to notice, okay, I'm present, this is self, that is not. Okay, what do I want to do with that? Let it go. A lot easier to let go of the things that really aren't ours, and even in the environment, to notice the influences that are always interacting with our energy field, and to choose, do I want to continue engaging with that? It's not aligned with myself, so I'm not really, no, it doesn't expand on my energy, it's actually making me contract, so no, I don't want to interact with that. Let it flow, let it go, shift attention to something else. Because a lot of times, I'm speaking from myself, but again, it's not my unique experience. Empathic people, energy sensitive people, when our systems encounter something that feels more abrasive, more incoherent, and especially if it's something that we've had experience of in the past and didn't go our way, there's a sense first of pulling in, contracting, so we make ourselves smaller, which means we contract our resources, we contract our life force, we contract our own power, and on top of it, we kind of grab that energy. Not intentionally, for sure, not intentionally, but when we lock against something, we are still engaged with that something. So instead of feeling the discomfort and letting it drain, flow, no, we tense up against it, which acts almost as this, putting a claw on it and just trying to keep it at bay, but in trying to keep it at bay, we're still keeping it in our field. And we can hold on to a lot of crap, pardon me, from a lot of people and a lot of environmental stuff that isn't ours because we're not conscious that we're doing it, and we just feel more and more and more this sort of tension until at some point in time we hopefully will release it. A lot of that release might happen while we sleep, but that's not really the best way to do it, because whatever we don't transmute or release in an environment that is able to transform it, or just picking up stuff from one place and depositing it elsewhere. So noticing what is self and what is not self in the moment allows us to not pick up anything. Just let things flow, and if we already picked something up, being centered inside the body allows us to not be swayed by it, and as well allow it with our intention, let it flow through, flow out. So ground it, pretty much send it to the earth to transmute, because the earth is very natural for the earth to transmute these incoherent energies, and then to use it as life force as well. Another thing that embodiment makes really, really, really useful, I don't think I phrased that right. Another thing for which embodiment, can be very useful is for us to not be swayed by our own internal experience. And this is for empathic people, for sensitive people, for people, period. Because there's a big tendency in our society to not feel our emotions and to be living in our head and outside of our body. So the least that we feel here, apparently, the better. It's not ever, of course, but you would think that would be the case looking at how most people are conditioned, brought up. Our rules, our society rules, spoken and unspoken, don't cry, don't be too loud, don't be too happy, crap. Just be at a base level of just a little bit of smile and a little bit of frown, and that's all good. No, we have an entire huge range of emotions that we can experience, and we don't have the emotional intelligence to experience them because our culture didn't really teach us that. We are the first ones now bringing that up. So the part of being present inside our body is really, really useful for that emotional intelligence, and to allow us to not be overrun or displaced almost by our emotions. So another image that came to me here was imagine an ocean. Powerful currents move through the ocean, and you have a dolphin and you have a seaweed. So the way that we in our society were brought up to deal with emotions was pretty much like the seaweed. Whenever a strong wave comes up, off the seaweed goes with the tide and ends up who knows where. Being present in our body, it's as if we, instead of the seaweed, are now a dolphin. So we are present, we have the ability to navigate the current, and we actually feel the currents move through our body. It's almost like it's washing us, moving through, while we are still focused, present, not focused as in I'm going in this direction, but we're present with the process. We're actually sometimes even enjoying the current flowing through us, and we're navigating. We're not being tossed left and right by whatever emerges from inside, or from other people's emotions, or from the energetics of the spaces that we are in. All of those are currents in the enormous, vast energy ocean that we are in. And when we are present inside our body, we are like that dolphin. We feel the current. We decide, do I want to navigate this current? Maybe not. I'm going to direct my fins and navigate in a different direction. Or if it's an internal current, we're not tumbling all over the water, we are still present, grounded, and allowing those internal waves in our own vast ocean to flow through and integrate through us. And that is something that embodiment makes a lot easier, because there is a stable focus that we can keep inside our body and inside our core, even more focused and even more powerful, because it is the main stream of energy that then everything gets integrated into and be made part of our available life force. So this video, I wanted to share some of the things that may not be in your awareness quite so present at this point, from how we can actually use the practices of embodiment to really upgrade our experience of life in all levels. I've been sharing in the past few videos ways that we can use embodied cues to trigger certain states of being, certain feeling states. That's a really, really powerful way to use embodiment as well, because from the body we can trigger with physiological cues, postures, breathing, certain feeling states. And when the body is reflecting those feeling states, our mind starts reflecting those feeling states. Those feeling states start being reflected in our field as well. And our field, energy field, it's interacting with the broader intelligent quantum field around us, lighting up experiences that are in resonance with that we deliberately cultivated from the more condensed, more powerful, more momentum having part of our own energy consciousness, which is our body. So this was a little bit of an ode and love to practices of embodiment, and how useful, how practical, how delightful really that they can be if living in our body, if being present in this life, in this planet, with other people in a way that feels safe to us, is something that really is important to us. It is very important to me. So if you're here and if you're listening, I'm assuming it is very important to you too. And practices of embodiment really, really, really can make a huge difference in all of that. I wanted to share one more thing, which is a resource. So if this is something that calls you, really, I don't have the time or the bandwidth here, or the experience for that matter, to be teaching you step by step how to do a full embodiment practice, because we're all different, we're all in different stages, but there are many resources that we can tune into. And one particular teacher, PhD actually, that I love her work, and I think it's really, really powerful and really useful to practice and to play with, is Dr. Judith Blackstone, and her work is called The Realization Process. She has a book, audiobooks as well on that, the realization process. And especially if you have trauma that you know that you haven't integrated yet, her book Trauma and the Unbound Body is among my top books for embodiment, period, and a brilliant way to actually bring together a lot of the things that we've been sharing in this channel: presence, spaciousness, embodiment, connection, all of that. So Trauma and the Unbound Body, brilliant resource. The realization process is the basis of her work, and it is a work that teaches us step by step how we can actually start practicing being more present inside our body, inhabiting our body, living from inside our body, and connecting and relating from this powerful state of embodiment. I've said embodiment a lot of times now. So I hope that what I shared resonated with you, that it inspires you to practice that very simple practice with the hand, with what we did with the hand, aware of and inhabiting, doing that in different parts of the body. And if you want to have a more structured approach, Dr. Judith Blackstone's work, I'll link it in the description box here as well. Couldn't recommend it higher. So hope this was useful. Do let me know if you have any questions, comments, likes, whatever you feel inspired. Thank you for joining me here, and I'll see you in the next video.